I don't like this song. Can you change it? Excuse me? Can you change the song, please? Can you please change the radio station?
Please share the road. Literally breaking the law, Cameron.
That might have looked like just a scenario by posing as an Uber driver. However, many drivers have taken advantage of their passengers. There have been numerous reported cases of everything from felons, imposters, to kidnappings, sexual assaults, suspected terrorists, and even death. As recent as July 28th, a woman visiting New York City from California on business was allegedly attacked and had her phone stolen by her Uber driver. It took more than a month to arrest the driver due to the needed subpoenas and search warrants to retrieve the driver's information, communications between people using Uber, and GPS location information. Even more recent, on September 19th, a New York man was laughed at by an operator at Uber's emergency hotline after reporting that he had been sexually assaulted by an Uber driver. The operator later hung up after refusing to refer the man to her manager. A few days later, it was explained in an email from Uber that the driver has since been banned from the platform. Drivers have also been the ones being victimized. Uber has been notoriously opaque with the costs associated with being an Uber driver. The company lures prospective drivers in by posting high rates of pay compared to other transportation services. These prices are exaggerated due to the majority of the cost being the driver's burden.
We found 3 themes from Catholic social teaching that can be associated with our topic, and those 3 themes are dignity of the human person, rights and responsibilities, and the dignity of workers. The dignity of the human person, what that means is everyone should learn to respect each other, love each other, take care of each other. An Uber driver should protect the people that they're driving. So the Catholic social teaching theme of rights and responsibilities calls for a fundamental right for life. So this theme can be related to our topic because Uber drivers have the responsibility to protect the people that they're driving as well as themselves. They should be sober when they're driving. They should not be under any influence of drugs, alcohol. And the third theme, dignity for work. Uber drivers have a right to a fair wage. They shouldn't be getting paid anything under minimum wage. In order to gain a broader perspective on the general consensus of Uber, we took to the streets and interviewed a few students.
My friend was in France when he took an Uber and accidentally paid $120 for a half an hour ride, which probably was not that much, but he didn't speak French, so.
I did hear one when I went home, and I live in Connecticut, so there was an Uber driver, and I was in either New Haven or Fairfield, and the Uber driver took a girl and then didn't take her where she was supposed to go and murdered her. But then again, who takes an Uber in Connecticut? It kind of strays me off from wanting to take an Uber.
I left my wallet in the car, and they actually drove a good 40, 50 feet after me, honking the horn, saying, hey, you forgot this. So
I ordered an Uber. 10 minutes I've been waiting for this Uber. Finally I call again, and she wasn't in a car because there was an echo that you could hear. So then finally I ignored it. I ended up walking to the bus stop. I got in the bus. I got to my appointment late, and I told them this whole thing with Uber happened. I ended up writing a report to Uber. Uber was very kind. They actually gave me I think it was a $10 credit.
I was at Universal Studios and the bus stopped running. So I used an Uber and God, he didn't speak English whatsoever. And I think he was hearing impaired also. also. So he would switch over in lanes, but I guess he wouldn't check his mirrors, and he would cut really close in between other cars, and he was speeding. And I was just like, I'm about to die.
Most people who did not have an Uber story had a positive view of the company. Generally, negative views came from unfavorable experiences.
I feel like everyone on campus takes an Uber.
Your life is in their hands.
Exactly.
General stigma, a guy you don't know getting in the backseat of a car with him.
I would go alone.
I'm not perfectly comfortable sitting in the back of an Uber even as a guy.
My mom advised me not to.
I can see for girls how it would be a little enhanced.
For the issue of safety, we found frequent users felt more unsafe than newbies that have never been alone in an Uber. There is a stigma that women should fear being in an Uber alone, but contrary to popular belief, men also feel unsafe when alone.
I've never heard of that.
They should at least get minimum wage if they're working.
Wait, really?
No, it's like minimum wage.
Oh, wow.
I feel weird asking, like, hey, how much do you make?
Yeah, we should probably get minimum wage. I think that would be fair.
Hearing that is kind of crazy because, like, Uber drivers are nice, you know? Like, they're kind of appreciative of their job and they always, like, want to start a conversation.
Most people did not know how much Uber drivers were paid and agreed that it's the rights and responsibilities of the company to work towards rectifying that dilemma.
As we were discussing in a previous section of this video, Uber drivers also get the short end of the stick. The Uber website advertises that drivers can make up to $19 an hour. Now, this would be a huge plus to anybody who maybe has a car, works a minimum wage job, maybe looking to, make a little extra cash real quickly. It sounds like a great deal. But there are a lot of other factors to consider when you break down this $19. Some of these factors include the percentage that Uber takes from every ride. So this is 25% and it sometimes can be 30% depending on the location. Now, the other factor is how much the driver makes per mile. So in New York City, a driver can make $1 per mile and potentially more depending on the area or place that happens. And then also the time. Per minute. So per minute is 15 cents, and again, potentially could be more. All of these factors contribute to the $19, but then when you start thinking about things like sales tax, income tax, depreciation of your car, gasoline costs, your registration, your licensing, there's so many things that take away from that $19 an hour. And many people have done the math and claimed that Uber is below the minimum wage and that there really isn't a working wage. So it becomes a question of the dignity and rights of workers. Three ideas that we have that could combat the issue of safety in Uber is cameras in cars, breathalyzers, and background checks. We believe that Uber should supply their drivers with cameras that could have a view of everything that's in the car, the same way that an MTA bus has cameras in its buses. There are now breathalyzers that are connected to your car's ignition. This means that you have to blow into the breathalyzer and it unlocks the ignition so that you can now drive. The rate or the blood alcohol content can be preset on the breathalyzer. Uber should set this amount to 0, as there should be a 0 tolerance rule for any drinking for any driver. Normally, this is commissioned by judges when a person is convicted of a DUI. Uber drivers currently get a background check through the Uber company. We believe that the Uber drivers should have 2 background checks, one conducted by the state and the other conducted by the Uber company. This guarantees that drivers are fully vetted and perfectly safe and capable of driving people around. The second major issue that we're trying to tackle and change is the wages that Uber drivers make. We propose that Uber is more transparent with how much their drivers actually make. A second solution that we have to help Uber drivers make a living wage is tax breaks. We believe that full-time drivers should receive greater tax breaks in order to achieve and receive a working wage. How are we going to change this? We need to talk to our congresspeople, we need to write letters, and we need to be actively engaging Uber with the social injustices that are happening in their company. Many states have already passed legislation that regulates Uber, but New York is one of the states that is pending legislation right now. So, you as a New Yorker, you need to go out and talk to your representatives, send them emails, give them a phone call, because Uber has a lot of injustices. We can change things with our vote and our voice.